My income jumped a lot out of nowhere. Like, I was really surprised when I managed to sell web copy for $12,000. I was like, whoa, like, what just happened?
Are you thinking about starting a freelance writing business or side hustle on Fiverr? Fiverr is one of the best places to make money writing in 2024. There are more than 4 million active buyers who spend more than $200 on average. It is always easier when you get advice from someone who has gone before you. Maya Sayvanova quit her job in 2014 to become a freelance copywriter and her own boss. At this time, she had no idea how this whole Fiverr game worked. I can tell you, this wasn't all rainbows and butterflies. Imposter syndrome was getting to her. She was setting her prices too low. She thought about getting a real job again to feed her 2 kids. Fast forward to today, Maya is a top and pro-rated copywriter who belongs to the top 1% of copywriters on Fiverr.
My name is Maya. And yeah, I've been freelance writer slash coach slash solopreneur for the past 10 years. So that I've changed all the hats or tried different things. Mostly I've been focusing on copywriting for most of this time. But then the last few years, I also started writing on Medium and on Substack. And that's been going very well. I'm very excited about it. And that's how I met you, which brings us here.
If we hop into the time machine and go back to 2014, when you quit your 9 to 5, I'd like to know, Maya, why did you quit it and what happened next?
Why did I quit it? Oh God, I just wanted to do something the way I saw it. So I decided that I wanted to work for myself. And I distinctly remember I was living in London back then. That's where I worked. And I distinctly remember that I briefly considered writing for a living, and because I've always loved writing, and I thought, who would pay me to write? Like, I wouldn't make any money doing that. There's no way. So instead of that, I got into coaching and I did the whole thing. I did a coaching course. I got certified as a life coach and a business coach. I created a website. I started a blog. I started interviewing other coaches and all that. And in my first, I think, year and a half, I had like 4 clients or 5 clients or something like that. It was really bad. Like, I really didn't know how to market myself. And that's when I just started looking for ways. And I know that a few of my clients were in a position where they were building their own websites. And I offered to write the copy for them. And they really loved it. And that's when I started offering copywriting. And I created profiles on different platforms, Upwork, Fiverr. Fiverr was the one that for me sort of exploded. And it actually got so busy that I had to quit coaching just because I couldn't like accommodate both and I had to choose. And I mean, the main reason is I love writing, don't get me wrong, but I love coaching too. But the thing is that because as a coach, I worked with people from all over the world. And because of the time difference, it was really difficult to accommodate. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave this for now. And I'm going to be a copywriter. And that's how I became a full-time copywriter on Fiverr. That was 2015.
If you think about like the challenges and struggles you were facing back then when you quit your 9 to 5 and started your solopreneur business, how did your life change? And you already mentioned that you had to close your consulting business.
Oh God, it was so difficult. I was very confused. I had no idea what to do. I consumed a lot of content. I remember I read, like, I spent hours every day reading content online about what to do, like how to sell this, how to find clients. And I couldn't really afford the big courses that I wanted to buy to learn, but I could afford smaller courses. And I remember that I bought a few courses for like 100 or 200, $300, something like that. And they really helped me sort of start to figure it out. But it's really difficult when you're starting because there's so many options online. I was very overwhelmed. I charged very low prices. In the beginning, when I started on Fiverr, I literally charged $5 for writing 300-word about page. $5. And I think maybe that's one of the reasons that it exploded, right? Because people, like, someone ordered, I think just because they're like, everyone were charging $5 back in the day. That's why it's called Fiverr. And the thing is that I remember my first client ever. I think that just some guy just got confused and ordered my just, I don't know what, I still don't know how that started. but he wrote such an amazing review. He was like, what a bargain. Like, I can't, because I had a marketing background and I had a coaching background. And like, people don't, I don't think they actually expect to get something good for $5. It's more like, oh, I'm just going to get something, I'm going to fix it myself or something. He was like, oh my God, what a bargain. And then I think it was that review that actually created a snowball effect. Like, people started booking more and more and more. I was very confused. I remember that distinctly. And then I focused all my energy on Fiverr because I saw that that's going well. At one point, honestly, I kind of burned down a little bit. And that's when I started to looking at other options. That's when I found Medium, etc. But we'll talk about that.
When I read your interview with Business Insider, you shared that sometimes you had too many orders to handle and you went to bed for a few hours, woke up to write through the night. Could you tell us a bit more about this situation? When was this? And was this the time you mentioned already when you felt like burned out?
That was, I think, about 6 months in. I was already making four figures on Fiverr, but like low four figures, like $1,000 to $2,000 a month. But I had really, before Fiverr actually started doing well, that's when I was so scared that I wouldn't be making any money, that I'd have to go back and beg for my job and all that. So that I was really determined to make this work, really determined. And I kept my prices low. Like, I think I increased them a little bit from like $5 to $15 or something like that, but I kept my prices low. And the thing is that on Fiverr, when someone orders, the way you see it as a seller is you literally see the minute. But for example, if you order right now for 24 hours delivery, I would have to deliver tomorrow by 1:15 p.m. Literally by the minute.
Oh,
And it has
okay.
like the Fiverr dashboard has this huge like timer, and it sort of ticks backwards. And because of the time difference, right? So people would order from the US, and the time for me to deliver would be 3 a.m., for example. But then sometimes I would have like 20 or 30 orders per day. So that's like 30 about pages to write in one day. So I would like just get exhausted. I would write like, I would just write my heart out. And then about 10 p.m., I would just be so exhausted. I'd be like, you know what? I'm just going to go to bed for a little bit. And then I would have jobs to deliver at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So I would go to bed from 10 p.m. to 2, and then I'd wake up and keep writing, and then I'd go to bed again. So that was good training for motherhood. And it was a little bit insane. Yeah. And it was a little bit insane, but I was just so determined to make this work. Like, I had to make this Fiverr thing work and last because I needed the money and I wanted to make this. I didn't want to get another job. So
Do you think Fiverr is still like a bargain platform or do you think it evolved?
I think it definitely evolved. There's still a lot of, well, it really depends on what you consider a bargain because as Fiverr evolved, I evolved also. And as I learned from some of the best copywriters in the world, and I could afford more expensive courses. I know some copywriters charge like $50,000 to $100,000 for one sales page, but there's a whole complicated process behind that. And I managed to sell this level of service to a few clients. I've worked with clients that paid me over $10,000 for website copy, and this involves very in-depth research, meetings, like testing. It's a whole marketing thing, but at the heart of it is copywriting. So if you compare it with this level of service, obviously it's still a bargain. But the current average order on Fiverr, I think, is $200. So definitely things have improved dramatically. I would recommend it for beginners. And then if you gain traction, it's really useful because I have used this experience to gain a lot of clients outside the platform because it's sort of like a portfolio, right? It's actually where people go and they can see some of the projects, some of the reviews people write for you, the pricing. Even if you offer higher pricing for a more specific project or whatever, it's almost like having your own website kind of thing, meaning you can use it for clients outside to show some credibility. And because I have like 1,500 reviews, I think, testimonials. So that's something that's really useful. But other than that, definitely, if you can walk away from the platform and you have enough clients to sort of, it really depends, I think, on the type of work you want to do. Like, if you want to go deep with one client and be all there for them and create everything for them, like their social media posts, their websites, their like everything, then definitely that is I mean, you can use Fiverr to sort of give you some experience, give you some money, and then you can go in that direction where you work with regular clients, bigger clients. And there's a way to do that. LinkedIn is great for that. But in the beginning, and also if you want, for example, for me right now, while I'm doing like Medium and Substack and Fiverr. Fiverr is excellent because Fiverr doesn't require so much attention. The projects are smaller. I have specific questionnaires that I send to my clients. They fill it out. It's easy for me to get all the information. I don't go that deep with the client. It's deep enough for me to understand, and especially with my marketing background, to understand the project and how to approach it. But it's not needed for me to be there like every day, all the time. So it works better if you want to do other things on the side.
Yeah, which services do you offer? You already shared that on average you can make $200, but these $200, are they linked to a specific word count, or is this on average the amount you can make on Fiverr for a logo creation or whatever?
Yeah, $200. Well, I have different packages on Fiverr. So first of all, you have the different services. I offer website copywriting. I offer social media content. I offer articles. I offer video scripts. I offer sales emails. So pretty much anything that you can think of. And then within that service, there are different packages. For example, you can hire me for one or two website pages, like a really short website. You can hire me for like a SEO optimized, like cute 20 pages website. My average order is about $200, which aligns with the Fiverr average. And that would cover, I think, about 500 words, 500, 600 words website, for example. Video scripts are usually more expensive because video requires specific expertise. People listen differently than how they read. It's just the way you consume information is different. So it's usually shorter words, shorter sentences. You have to see how things sound. For example, if you use words with a lot of S and F and like the silent letters, it doesn't sound good. So it's just specific expertise. So video scripts actually cost a little more. It's not, but yeah, I mean, the really sky's the limit on Fiverr. That's the good thing, that you can literally launch any kind of service, and once you have that credibility, it helps you launch a new service just like that. I mean, because it instantly, the reviews and everything is attached to your name. So you just launch a new service, but even though it's a new service, Fiverr shows people that you have 1,500 reviews.
Hey, it's Kristina. Are you thinking about becoming an online writer or a copywriter? Then my online writing school is for you. With my newsletter, The Online Writing Club, comes the online writing school if you become a premium subscriber. So make sure to go in the show notes and see you inside. If someone would ask me what's the key to success on Fiverr, what would you tell this person, Maya?
Look at the successful gigs and whatever you have to offer, learn from them about how they present themselves, the content, the tags that they use, the headline, and all that, and try different services. Because sometimes, like, you can literally find a niche that's not well developed, but people need it. I started writing specifically about pages, and I've tried other gigs before that. My husband's in marketing too, and he said, who would buy an about page from a stranger? Like, how would they know what to write? It's an about page, right? Like, this is the one page that anyone should be able to write themselves almost. And it was so funny that this was exactly the gig that absolutely exploded, and so many people told me, I have no idea what to write about myself, because it's so difficult to see yourself right from the outside and see your strengths and what to say. And it was actually the one thing that exploded. So just try different things. Don't just go like, oh, I posted a gig about website copy and like it didn't work, so I'm just gonna give up. Like, try a few things, see what others are doing. And also, if you talk to a client, sort of, if clients request something again and again, turn it into a gig. That's also very important, because I think I was one of the first people on the platform who started offering copy for sales funnels, because people started contacting me and being like, oh, I bought a ClickFunnels account. And that's what, about the time when ClickFunnels launched, and I think, or like became huge anyway. I bought a ClickFunnels account, and there are all these pages, and I don't know what to write. Like, I need someone to write those pages for me. And that's when I was like, okay, so this is something. And it was also specifically the word funnel that people have just learned this new word,
Mm.
something interesting that they helps them to sell. And I used that and I created a gig that says, copy for sales funnels. And it included everything: your ads, your like squeeze page, landing page, thank you page, like emails, whatever. And again, this gig did very well. For a very long time, this was my top converting gig because no one else offered that. So people, they didn't know. They thought, oh, maybe this guy offers website copy, but is this the same? This guy offers emails, but can he do landing pages? Like, they didn't know. And when you see something that you look for specifically,
Yeah.
boom.
How much did you make last year with Fiverr, and how much money did you make in your, I think now 11 or more than 10 years writing on Fiverr?
Well, last year I made almost 50,000, I think 49,500, something like that. And this was actually the last 3 years I've made that. But before that, it was really difficult, and especially when I charged like 5, 10, 15. So overall, for the 10 years, I've made 230 something dollars on Fiverr
Wow,
alone.
I see.
$230.
That's great.
With like about 150 of those have been made the last 3 years.
If someone is watching this and he'd like to start Fiverr and give it a try, would you recommend that this person starts with a very low price with like $5, or would you recommend to go like to start with $15 or $25?
Yeah, I don't think that you should go $5 because right now it's just the perception of the platform has changed, and people think that the things that cost $5 are really bad quality. Plus, the low cost sort of attracts the worst clients on Fiverr, really the bargain hunters who would just want to obsess about every little detail and pay as low as possible.
Mm.
So I would definitely go a bit higher. But another thing that you can do if you're already a professional in a certain area, whatever it is, you can directly apply for their pro-rated program, because Fiverr used to have like, well, they still have categories based on the performance in the platform. They have level 1, level 2, and top rated level. But a few years ago, they introduced a program that's called pro-rated sellers. And this means that if you're a professional who's jumping in on Fiverr, you don't have to go through level 1, level 2 level. You can directly apply to become a prorated seller. And prorated sellers charge $100 or more. That's
Wow.
actually a requirement. You can't be prorated and charge less. So if you have experience, for example, if you go there and you want to do marketing consulting, for example, and you can prove, and you can, that you have all that, you have newsletters, you have background, experience, corporate, whatever, and sometimes they want to meet you, but I think it's very rare that that has happened. Usually it's just you recording a video of yourself telling a little bit more about yourself, filling out a blank, filling out a form, and yeah, you're prorated seller, and you can charge $100 directly, and they advertise prorated sellers separately. So if someone's a professional at something, I would definitely recommend that they go this route. And if they're a beginner, maybe start at about $30 to $50. I wouldn't recommend going to five.
How does it feel to make $50,000 on Fiverr alone if the per capita income in Bulgaria is about 30,000?
Yeah, it's really awesome. We can afford a lot of things, and I think one of the most amazing thing is that we have so much time. Like we are really free in terms of, we can travel with our kids, and when they're sick we can be with them, and we're here every day at 4 p.m. when they come from home from school, and we're here in the morning, and we're here in the weekends, and we're here, like, no one's busy, no one's irritated, no one's like cranky because their boss pissed them off. Like, even if we have a client, sometimes that's difficult. It's still just like, you do what you can, and if you lose one client, you lose one client, you don't lose your entire business. Whereas with your boss, if you lose your boss, you lose your whole income, right? So it really, everything I think works well, not just with the time and the location freedom, but also I think the stress is less, even though it's difficult. But it's something that it's sort of, there's a bigger reason to do it, and that's why the stress isn't so bad. Like, you can handle it because there's a reason.
Maya, how does a typical day in your life then looks like with the kids and with your hobby being at home as well?
we wake up, I make breakfast, put the uniforms on them and take them to school, and then come back and just sit on the computer, and I'll do different things. As I said, my former boss is now my client, so I'll do a little bit of work on his project, and then I will write on for Medium, for Substack, for Fiverr clients, see how Fiverr clients are, because Fiverr work is fluctuating. And for example, some months I don't have as much and I write more Medium articles. And then some months I have more clients, so less Medium articles. The one thing that I'm adamant about, like there's no compromises, my newsletter. Like I will send 2 newsletters a week, and I will try to make them as best as I can, no matter what.
Can you share with us how many hours per week or per day do you work?
4 to 6 hours per day. And I tried last month to work 3 hours per day just to see if I can do it. Because I had some personal issues in the last year, and I had to just run a lot of errands here and there. And I was like, okay, I really need to work on productivity and on sort of like really creating like moments of focused work, so then I have time for all these other things. Everything's fine now, but that's it got me thinking. And last month I tried this thing that I called the 15-hour work week, and the idea is that I work every day from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. But it didn't really work. However, I did learn how to do some things faster, and I think it's also true that they say that every job will take the time that you allocate to it. So if you say that you're going to do something in 8 hours, it's going to take 8 hours. If you say that you're going to do it in 3 hours, you're going to find a way to do it in 3 hours. So I think it's also important to give things time, but also to be aware of like whether you really need to, for example, to test 200 headlines or research, read all the articles. Like you have to have some sort of a system, right? So, but basically, 4 to 6 hours I find are plenty. And I am doing Fiverr clients, I'm doing one big client, my former boss that I told you about. I am doing Medium, 3 articles per week. I am doing Substack, 2 newsletters per week. And then I also try to do a little bit of LinkedIn and X and like networking and stuff, but it's challenging. But all that fits into 4 to 6 hours. So I don't know how someone would do even half of that in 2 hours. I'm not sure how that would work. But, I think that the thing that I've discovered that works for me is I really break things down to like their smallest, tiniest tasks. For example, I have to come up with an idea, and that's all I do. And it could take 10 minutes, but it's 10 minutes of focused work. And in 10 minutes, I'll brainstorm a few ideas. I'll check out what my favorite writers are writing about. I'll look at sort of like the news, and I get this email with like recent events. For example, my latest newsletter was about Kanye West's very bizarre Super Bowl ad. And that's something that I read on this sort of newsletter with news and stuff. So I just have a few things that I do, and I know that in 10 to 15 minutes I'll have the idea for my next newsletter. I'll just circle something and be like, just choose one. I mean, sometimes it's like, oh, this I find this really interesting, this is amazing, let's do this one. And sometimes I have all these ideas, I'm like, nothing really seems like the one, but I have to choose something. So I will just choose something what I think would be most helpful to my clients, and I will just choose that. And then I would say, okay, this task is done, idea chosen, right? And then next task, let's break this idea down. Like, what do I want to say, for example? Or let's research the idea. And researching the idea could literally be like, I would scroll on my phone and my kid will play around me. And I know that's not like presenting, parenting, being present or whatever, but sometimes you got to do it. So I would just scroll on my phone and I will Google stuff, and I will read stuff, and I will copy paste some stuff on notes. So that's literally something, again, that you can do it on your phone. And boom, now you have an idea, now you have the research done, and you didn't even have to like send your kid in the other room. It was like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, boom. And then I break it down. I'm like, okay, so 3 4 like sections of this. I want to say this, then this is how you do it, this is why it's important, this is who it's important for, whatever. So I create the sections. Again, this is 10 minutes work, 10 to 15 minutes work to really think about that. And then the actual writing of the draft will take, for example, 30 minutes, at least 20 to 30 minutes. Again, it really depends on, first of all, the topic, the mood, and all that. But really, if you want to crank up an article really fast, I think really you can. You just say it. It's almost like saying it out loud. You don't need 20 minutes to sort of explain an argument, right? You just say it like, oh, this is why it's important, this is who it's important for, this is what I'm trying to tell you. So just write it really fast, blah 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 blah. And then the editing part is the one thing where I really need to be in sort of deep work mode, but that's just only one part of it, right? Because the editing part, I think, is where I make it clear, where I input like all the links, all the images, where I sort of improve the headlines and just really make it like read well. I think I need usually for an article or for a Substack or for a client's project, I would need about 30 minutes for that. No more than 30 minutes. But it really has to be deep focused work so everything can be right.
Let's now talk a bit about Medium. Do you use Medium then as a marketing tool to get clients or build an audience? Or how do you see writing on Medium three times per week then?
Mostly I see it now as a way to build my newsletter, but I'm not gonna lie, it feels pretty good to make some money on Medium. I actually, in 2019, end of 2019, when I started writing, it was different. Like literally, I don't know. I guess I got lucky because literally, like the first month I made $2, the next month I made $5, and in my third month I made $2,000 or $1,000, something like that. Just one of my articles sort of exploded, and I was like, "Whoa, I can really make money here." And then I wrote a little bit, and I made some money. I made some decent money, not like full time money, but like decent money. And that's when I got pregnant with my second, and I just couldn't like really couldn't focus. I had like difficult pregnancy, so I stopped writing, and then it was just on and off, an on and off thing. And then I felt when I came back to it, when they had introduced the boost, some of the publications that I used before weren't there anymore. The curation wasn't there anymore. So I really felt lost a little bit, like I didn't know. And I started writing with the idea to make some extra money, but it was so difficult to actually like. There was no luck anymore. There was no like $1,000 in 2 months. So I found it difficult, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna build a newsletter because I think I had figured out at this point that I really want to create content for people like me, for people who want to do what I do, for people who don't want to work for someone, but also don't want a big company. It's just I so like to test things, to try things. So I want this freedom, and yeah, so I decided that I want to create a newsletter for people like that who want to be solopreneurs, who want to do their own thing, and who want to be successful and make full-time money doing that. And I started sort of using Medium as a tool, as a marketing tool to attract people to my newsletter. But then again, somehow, out of writing on Medium regularly, I think, or out of learning a little bit more about the boost system, and you are part of the reason that I learned more about that, I actually started making more money. Even before, I got boosted for the first time, I started making like $100, $200, which is, I mean, not a huge amount, but like something, because before that it was like $50. And I was like, what is happening? I used to be making 1,000 here. Like, what is going on? So, but yeah, things are looking up now, and especially after I'm getting the boost. So even though my priority is still my newsletter, I definitely see Medium as a great way to make money too.
And I saw, Maya, that you got your first story boosted. Could you tell us a bit more about this boosted story?
One day I wake up and it's the story that is 3 minutes long in the startup. It has all those bullet points and like short sentences. It has very little personal story. It's just basically good writing advice explained. And it got boosted, and it got like, honestly, actually, now I sort of understand what the boost feature is about. Because before, with curation, I think that they distributed articles to people who have said that they're interested in certain topics, so they would only distribute to those people. And then now with the boost, I feel like they distribute like far and wide to everyone, and they're actually, at least based on what I see, they sort of pay more per view, although it's not exactly per view, it's per read, but that's how I calculate it, per view. And I think my most successful article on the platform, which was the one I wrote in 2020, and it made $200, $2,000, I'm sorry. It comes to about 2 cents per view. And now this one comes to about 14 cents per view. With just like 4,000 views, I got $700, and it's still growing. Like, people are still reading it. So obviously the boost feature is really awesome. I don't know if I'll ever get boosted again. I really don't. I really try not to think of it this way, meaning I will do my best, but also hoping to get boosted, hoping to get something that doesn't really depend on you entirely. I feel like is playing the lottery. So I feel like instead of playing the lottery on Medium and hoping to make some money, and maybe you will, I'm not saying you won't, definitely look into using Medium as a marketing tool to sort of gain subscribers and then sell products or like communities or whatever you want to sell.
Then let's now jump to your newsletter. I know that your like third income stream is now your newsletter because you have already enabled the paid button. What is your newsletter about and how are you faring with the paid tier?
So basically, my newsletter is about, it's called One Person Business Success, and it's about solopreneurs, basically all kinds of people trying to do like coaching, writing, side hustles, because most of my subscribers have day jobs, and then some of them are full time solopreneurs. And yeah, I just try to, because I know that back in the day, I desperately needed that. And they say that the best type of product or service that you can offer is something that you needed. I desperately needed that. I really couldn't afford the big courses that I thought were the answer. And the small courses felt like they would only show me like part of the picture, like they would shine a light on this or on that. And it took me really many years, 10 years, to sort of figure out the whole picture of like how this whole marketing thing works, online specifically. And especially if you're a solopreneur and you don't have a big budget for ads or whatever. I started this last year in June, and then it took me 4 months to get to 100 subscribers. So I was really slow, which is what I wrote in that final piece that you said, like, am I crazy? Like, you're growing like wildfire, seriously. So I'm really slow, but then it took me 4 months to get to 100, and then 4 more months to get to 500, and I'm already almost at 600. So like in 20 days. So you can definitely see exponential growth with Substack. The more you grow, the faster you'll grow. And then I was thinking at about not even 200 subscribers, I think 170 or 80 subscribers when I launched the paid feature. That was December. I got 3 paid subscribers rather quickly because I created a special offer, sort of if they buy a subscription by the end of the year. And now I'm at 11, I think 11 paid subscribers, and it's going pretty good. I'm not really pushing it a lot. The way I'm doing it is I'm sending emails to everyone, and then the last part of the email is only for paid subscribers, where I sort of dig deep and get into like research and ideas and stuff. And I think that works really well for me because it doesn't put that extra pressure of like come up with like what emails could we send to people who are for free, and what emails could I send for people who are not for free. Like, I'm really, when I get a good idea in my head, I'm like, I want everyone to know that good idea. It's a great idea. Like, why would I like not share it with people? But then if they want like the in-depth perspective and research and like what to do, etc., the actual step by step, that's what's actually locked for paid subscribers.
Your offer you mentioned from last year, what did this offer look like?
Yeah, this was coaching, 3 sessions. I think I offered coaching sessions for my paid subscribers, and I did them, and it actually turned out really well. I actually have video testimonials of people like saying, that they were impressed, and now I was thinking about like doing this again, but I feel like I'm better on messages just because it's really difficult to schedule coaching sessions, as you know, as a mom. But yeah, it's just like I every time when I get a new subscriber, paid subscriber, I always like go message them personally and see like, oh, can I help you with something? Do you want like more specific, if you have any questions, you need more specific information? And some of them, yeah, they ask me like, what do you think about like this article or this newsletter or this whatever? Yeah, so I give this kind of personal feedback and try to share what I know. But the coaching sessions also really proved very useful for me because as marketers, all kind of data and feedback is positive, even if it's not really positive. It tells you what your audience is about, what they're doing, what they're struggling with. It gives you more ideas for writing. So it was really useful.
I also have a community experience. This is linked to my newsletter at the moment. Do you plan to have one community experience too, or membership experience?
I plan to create like little challenge, sort of a monthly club thing. It's like this is the first time, or well, I feel like these superstars are like this is the first time where I'm talking about this. This is where my album drops, so I'm just
Super
gonna,
hot news. Yeah.
yeah, super hot news. So I'm planning to do like a testing challenge, meaning every month, because I do think that it, especially new solopreneurs, but also more experienced ones. I think people don't realize that marketing, online marketing, and online business require trying things, testing things. So maybe like people say, oh, I don't know which social media platform to post on, or I don't know how many times a day, or I don't know what to write about, or I don't know. So I'm like, okay, you're not gonna figure that out just by sort of figuring like thinking every day. It's better to go do it. First of all, you see how you feel if you have to do it every day, because it's one thing to think about writing something, for example, in a specific topic, and then you start writing about it every day, and on a third day you're like want to shoot yourself, like super bored, etc., for example. Also, maybe a platform, there's a platform that you think would work well but you don't like it. That's how I felt about X or Twitter. Like I'm on there like from time to time, but there's so many weirdos on X. Oh my god. I just can't take it. I'm sorry. That's why I think it's important for people to test things. And I want to create a community that's about every month, in the beginning of every month, everyone shares what new thing they're going to do this month. And it could be anything. It could be posting less or posting more. It could be new platform. It could be new service, new product. It could be whatever, and they give themselves 1 month and they share with us the specific parameters. For example, I'm going to do this 3 times a day. I'm going to choose topics. I'm going to whatever. And then every week we're going to, or like almost every day basically, but every week we're going to do like a roundup and be like, okay, so have you been doing this? How does it feel so far, etc. Also, they would share the goal of it. Like, for example, my goal with every test that I do is to get new subscribers. So I'm doing this currently with Medium. Like, I'm testing because Medium is about long form content. And I know you're doing amazing with short form content on Medium, but mostly it's about long form content. It takes a while to do. So I'm always thinking like, okay, so should I write long form content on Medium, or should I use that same amount of time to, for example, network on LinkedIn, or write more on LinkedIn and write less on Medium or whatever? Like, what will bring me more subscribers? So this one I'm testing Medium, meaning I'm really trying there. Like, I'm really working on my articles, working with editors, submitting to top publications, trying to get boosted, trying to like do everything I can to get as many subscribers as possible and to perform as well as possible. And I'm going to see at the end of the month how that does. Like, how many subscribers did it get me? How many boosted stories did it get me? How much money did it get me? And I'm gonna decide whether I'm gonna keep doing this or not. And the next month I can test LinkedIn. The next month I can test something else. And I want to do a club which is about that. And I think that by testing that every month you will actually improve, because you will make a new decision. Even if your decision is no on one thing, this means that it opens up space and time for you to do something else which might do better, right? So this way you will develop your business better and faster, and you will actually see what every decision means, rather than be like, oh, I decided to write on LinkedIn just because everyone say so.
How did you manage to get published in Business Insider? Because I know it took a long, long, long time to see this awesome result.
So last year, beginning of 2023, I was like, okay, I really need to build a business online, because I feel like there are two ways to think about online thing. And one kind of people, one type of people, they think about how to make money online. And that's, I think, short-sighted a little bit, because they focus on, oh, this platform or that platform or this trend or whatever. And I felt like maybe that for a long time, it's not that consciously I had chosen this way of thinking, but I had sort of fallen for it, being like, oh, whichever thing makes money, that's what I'm going to do. And beginning of last year, I was like, okay, like, what am I doing? I'm 36 years old. I don't know if this was a midlife crisis and whatever. Like, I want to have something to show for my work. I don't want to just say to people, oh, what do you do? Well, I make money on Fiverr. Well, okay, like, what does that even
Mm.
mean? I was like, okay, I want to build a business. And how do you build a business? Like, one of the building blocks is credibility, right? One of the ways to build credibility is about, getting featured places and getting like sort of getting the gatekeepers to notice you, right? So I was like, okay, I have to get myself published in one of those publications. And first, there was a whole lot of research on how to get that done. And in the beginning, I thought about going after Forbes, for example, but that's really difficult. And in fact, I found one person who's like a PR consultant or coach for like small businesses. And she said something that I really like. She said, don't start with Oprah, which I don't think is like this huge breakthrough thing. But the idea is that you build up to Oprah to the point where she contacts you, or maybe you pitch to her, but like you've already been to so many other places. And she was like, and it turns out that Forbes is this kind of pub. Like you can get published in Forbes, but before that, you have to be published in Business Insider and Fast Company and Inc. and all those other places where it's easier. And Business Insider, for one thing, I chose to focus on that because they're really open about their submission guidelines. Literally, their editor on her Twitter bio, she invites people to contribute. And they have like their submission guidelines online and all that. With that knowledge, I tried to like submitted articles every week for like 6 months. And nothing, I didn't get a response ever. Like nothing ever got, any attention. But at this point, I also decided to try Forbes, just in case. And I noticed that one of the editors on Forbes, one of the editors that I submitted to, has checked out my LinkedIn profile. And that knowledge was crucial, which is what we said earlier about every data point is important. That was, for me, that was like saying, oh, your writing is good, but you don't have the online credibility to be featured here, right? You're an online nobody, and specifically a LinkedIn nobody. And these kind of publications, they really look at LinkedIn. So that's when I started sort of revamping my LinkedIn profile a little bit, and I started reading more on Business Insider. And I noticed that that some of the Business Insider freelance writers did these kind of features on like people who were successful on Fiverr, on Upwork, on Medium, or like any other online platforms. And I was like, okay, so maybe this is my way in. So what I did is I revamped my LinkedIn profile. I put in there that I'm in the top 1% freelancers on Fiverr, which is true according to my research. And I submitted another article that I felt would definitely this time be accepted, and it did not get accepted. So they just completely rejected me. And I was like, you know what, just like screw it. And at this point, I was sort of feeling angry a little bit, and I decided to follow on LinkedIn the girls because I reading articles there, I discovered a few names of like freelance writers who wrote about online business and side hustles. And I was like, I'm just going to follow these women on LinkedIn just to see if they give some advice to writers like me, like how to submit or anything like that. And I followed them, I sent connection requests, and you won't believe what happened, Kristina. 3 days later, one of these women accepts my connection request and she says, can I interview you for Business Insider? I'm like, hell yeah.
Wow. And this woman was Ella Hopkins?
Yeah, Ella Hopkins. Yeah, I still can't believe, frankly, what happened there. Like, I thought I would be the writer. I thought that I would have to like submit like the perfect story. I kept trying and trying and trying, and then the opportunity came a different way.
Wow. And how did this experience then change the direction and the way you pitch now?
Yeah, I definitely want to use this one sort of feature to get featured in more places. I'm building up my audience a little bit so that I can approach a few other publications. And yeah, the next place where I'm thinking that I should pitch is Fast Company. And they're also very open about their submission guidelines. And yeah, I also think that even though that my Business Insider article is on about Fiverr specifically, I've used it a lot when I've talked to, as example, when I've talked to, for example, my paid subscribers one-on-one on chat, as an example of how you can boost credibility and gain publicity. And I've actually had people tell me in like LinkedIn messages or comments on Medium or whatever that, oh, you're a six-figure writer, you were featured in Business Insider, I'm following you like 100%. So this kind of credibility, it doesn't really come from, well, it comes from a huge audience, it comes from other things, but it's really helpful either way.
Hi, it's Kristina. Are you looking for a community of like-minded people who help you start, grow, and monetize your writing? Then my online writing school is for you. Jump in the show notes, click the link, and join my online writing school. In your solopreneur journey, what is like the biggest surprise you experienced in getting to your six-figure business?
I think any time that my income jumped a lot out of nowhere. Like I was really surprised when I managed to sell a web copy for $12,000. I was shocked. Even though I had prepared for it, I planned for it. I was like, who would buy this out of me? Like I believed in the service. I just didn't believe in myself enough, I think. But then they bought it. I was like, whoa, like what just happened? And then the next moment was when the I got like a really successful article in Medium. 82,000 people read that. I was like, that is a lot of people. And yeah, every moment where I get a lot of attention and I get a lot of, well, it's not just about the money, but yeah, maybe the attention is really it really just makes you be grateful for everything. It's really humbling, and it also makes you persevere. And I've actually come to think of it in a different way now, whereas I think that it's really important what you want to say to people into this world. It's not just about like saying the same old things, or if you do, say them, but like put your spin on it. So it's kind of like, don't just write for the sake of writing, because a lot of people are like, oh, you should write an article on Medium every day. Oh, just, and if you don't like it, they don't even think about it. They don't It's not bad to write every day, but it's bad when you're doing it without inspiration, without desires, just like blah blah blah. And I always say, what if this becomes viral? Like, what if this is your, like, somehow, I don't know, you hit a trend, something happens, someone gets you boosted. Is this the article that you want to be known for? Is this the piece of content that you want to be known for? So every time now I think about, okay, so if this article gets 82,000 views or more, like, is this something that I want to proudly present to everyone? Or is this someone that's going to be like, oh my God, like, I can't believe this happened. I'm mortified. So I think it's really important to really try. And it's not, I mean, our best varies. I mean, one day we're at 100%, another day we're at 50%. And it's not that we just can't do any better. Days are different. Our energy varies, right? That's okay. But just give it all you got right now. Give it all you got. Don't just do it just to do it.
Talking about advice, Maya, what advice did you neglect to take on board and why?
So the one that I'm really that I regret that I neglected was that I'm way too distracted, and I suffered a long years from shiny object syndrome. And that's maybe, I mean, in some ways, obviously there's always good and bad in everything in life. So in some ways it just taught me so much, because I've tried so many different things. Like I sold journals at one point. I've done weird stuff, and I learned a lot from that. But also I think it really slowed me down in how I developed my actual business, the things that were important to me. It slowed down my growth. It slowed down my revenue growth. I didn't start an email newsletter for years that should have started. So definitely shiny object syndrome is something that you have to kick to the curb if you want to be successful. And I'm not saying focus on one thing and one thing only, but also be mindful. Be mindful. Like if you want to try something, try one thing at a time, or decide for how long, or what are the results you're after. Don't just go everywhere. And another thing, an advice that I'm happy that I didn't listen to, was the advice to stay at my job, which is again something that I keep hearing. And it's not, I mean, everyone knows for themselves, but for me, that would have been wrong, because jumping into this thing full time, it really just makes you, first of all, you burn the boats, as Tony Robbins says. If you want to take the island, burn the boats. And if you don't have a job, you have to figure this thing out. You have to make money. You have to like find a way. So you're much more resourceful. You're much more into it. You don't give up so easily. You cannot give up so easily. And you do things that are insane, and then you can talk about in interviews. I mean, like getting up at 2 a.m. to write about pages and stuff like that. But it really teaches you resilience, I think, being encouraged and really counting on you.
What was the biggest obstacle in your business life so far?
I think just figuring out what I wanted to do. And that's why it's something that I talk a lot about this in the newsletter and in articles. I talk a lot about getting that kind of clarity, internal clarity about what you want to do. As I said, shiny object syndrome big time. And also, I always feel like I'm all over the place because I do coaching and I do copywriting and I do newsletters and I also write about personal development or about parenthood. And it was really difficult for me to sort of narrow this down into something that works. And I think right now with the newsletter was my aha moment. Like writing a newsletter for solopreneurs, I felt like the way J.K. Rowling felt when she came up with Harry Potter. I think it just clicked. It was just like, okay, this is it. Because it includes everything else. I can do coaching with those people, and I can talk to actual coaches because they're solopreneurs too, and I can talk to actual copywriters, and I can also write for them, and I can also write about parenthood because those people are also parents, a lot of them. And I can, like, everything, all my interests, everything that I've ever done, or every risk that I've taken, every decision that I made, mistake that I made, anything, it all feeds back to this. And I think that's why it's helpful. That's how my experience could be helpful to a group of people. And I think the best way to do that is to really think about not what to do, but who I want to work with, like who can I help. That's what, to me, that was the moment where it was an aha moment.
What advice can you give other writers?
First of all, again, think about the people that you want to work with, definitely. And then, based on the people you want to work with, go where they are. One of the reasons that I use Medium to get people for my newsletter is that I know that a lot of Medium writers use Substack, and they know Substack, and they also want to write on Medium, and it's all that. So that's when solopreneurs hang out on Medium or in Substack, and maybe Twitter or X, Instagram. So know your people. If you want to work for big companies, don't go with Fiverr, go with LinkedIn. Really go all in on LinkedIn. If you want to work with smaller businesses that are just starting out, go with Fiverr. Just really figure out who you want to serve and think about where those people are and go there, promote yourself there.
What do you tell all those people who say, I hate marketing and selling myself?
Oh gosh. First I tell them, if you hate marketing, you're not, like, don't even do business. Like, go get a job. I mean, marketing is like, seriously, it's the blood of it. Like, you can't possibly, I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like saying that you want to sing opera but hate singing, almost. Like, this is it. Like, business, a huge part, there are two sides of business, I think. One is an awesome product, and two is an awesome marketing strategy. And then, of course, there's operational work and all that. But that sort of feeds, maybe part of the operational work feeds into the awesome product, and part of the operational work feeds into the awesome marketing strategy. So maybe you have an awesome product. Maybe you write great. Maybe you have a great digital product or a lot of knowledge to offer or whatever it is. But if you don't want to do the marketing, you cannot, like, it's best to sell your skills to an actual employer, right? If you want to do online business, you got to learn marketing. Another thing I tell them, and I think Marie Forleo has a great way of putting that, is that marketing is empathy in action. It's not salesy. It's really about using psychology to help people get out of their own way. Because the chances that you can help people, and that's another thing. I think people who don't like marketing just have imposter syndrome. They just don't feel good enough to sell themselves. They're like, oh, what am I gonna like? And I felt like that about starting an email list for a long time. I was like, why would people want to get emails from me? Like, what am I even, like, offering? But I think if you work, that's one of the things that personal development comes in. You have to, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur, you have to work to destroy those voices in your head or deal with them, right? Because they're always going to show up. It doesn't matter. Maybe you make millions, maybe you make $10. There's always going to be a voice there that says, you don't even deserve that. Definitely you have to deal with that. And also you have to start marketing yourself. Do it your way. If you don't like to do it like in a pushy way or in a salesy or whatever, do it your way. Just do it in the end of an article with just a short sentence or an invitation where you invite people to your email newsletter. But, like, start doing it right away.
I'd like to jump into the more personal questions now, Maya. I'd like to know, what do you do in your free time with your family, or if you have some alone time?
I definitely relax on the weekends. As I said, I burned out once with Fiverr, like, big time. Didn't want to, like, work, didn't want to write, didn't want to do anything. So I'm not going there again. I like to play board games. I like to ride a bike. I like to go to the beach when I can. and I like to go to brunch.
Wonderful. And do you have a favorite dish as well?
Eggs Benedict and mimosa, which is
Mimosa?
pretty much, yeah, an excuse to drink champagne in the morning.
I see. Mimosa, yeah. And
Yeah.
what is Eggs Benedict? A
Eggs
cocktail
Benedict
or?
is eggs with salmon, and it's like poached eggs with like salmon and a special sauce. Mimosa is champagne and orange juice.
Is there anything you miss from your time before you had kids, or
Oh
is it pretty
God, honestly, I don't even remember anymore. It's like- I mean, I definitely miss some stuff. I mean, just maybe we traveled more before, but yeah, nothing specific. I think when the kids are growing up, as the kids are growing up, you can do more and more with them, and it's different, but it's also fun. And as long as you can get at least once a year, me and my husband, we leave them with their grandparents and we go someplace like for a week or something. If you can get that, then I think it's enough. In the beginning, it wasn't enough, but now I think I've really gotten used to it.
tell us a bit about the future. What's your vision for 2024?
Ooh, 2024. Oh my God. I watched like all the way to 2030. I don't know. I just want to grow the newsletter. Honestly, that's my focus. I want to grow the newsletter and I want it to be the best freaking newsletter like in the world for solopreneurs, meaning the one where they can get everything. Like they can get advice from different people that I recommend that have sort of curated advice. They can get my perspective, they can get psychology, the psychological part because it's difficult, and they can get the marketing part, and they can learn how to improve their core offer. Basically, whatever I can offer them. But I definitely want to, yeah, I want to clarify the newsletter perhaps a little bit then, and I want to grow it, and I want to just help more solopreneurs. Honestly, I'm really passionate about solopreneurship as a way of life and also as a way of thinking. Because I think that anyone who thinks as a solopreneur, they already, even if they're employed, they can already see their employer as a client, and they can already like take responsibility. They can already market themselves, sort of defend their opinions, and just be that better version of themselves and get all the rewards that come with that.
And Maya, if someone wants to connect with you, how can people connect with you?
Best way is to go on Substack, who recently launched this direct messaging feature. So you can just go on Substack and find me at Maya Sayvanova or One Person Business Success, and you can subscribe or you can message me, whatever you want to do. You're welcome. I will reply.
Cool. That's a great offer. Thank you so much. It was delightful, Maya. I wish
Thank
you a
you.
wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
I bet you found this interview with Maya valuable. Why not subscribe to my channel? On a weekly basis, I share interviews and tutorials, and I'd love you to be part of my community.